Hey, welcome to episode 35 of the Brad Davidson Show. We promise it's soon to become your ultimate comeback.
Yep.
That is in process.
But you have to come back first.
Yeah, I got to be back in California first.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get some pictures done.
Yep. Yep.
Excited to be here with my co-host Raquel.
Hello.
Raquel, how you been?
I've been well. You? I've missed you this week. Honestly, Jay has taken good care of us, but I've missed you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Your workout's going good?
Well, yeah, except that you told him to duplicate something that I'd already done this week, you brat. But other than that, it was fine. Yeah. He's like, "Are you sure?" That's okay.
That's what happens when you go 3 days a week versus 2.
Apparently
Recycle.
trying to keep up with my daughter. That's the thing. So, how's your vacation?
It's been good.
Is it?
Super mellow. Yeah,
Good.
it's been really hot. I mean, it was 118 in Vegas. It was 105 the first couple of days up here in Oregon, which is super hot for here, but It's cooled off now, so it's good. We went ziplining yesterday. That was super fun.
How fun.
So yeah, it was super mellow.
Yeah.
Not looking forward to driving home tomorrow, but it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 hours, 2 days in a row in a car is really good for the back.
Yeah.
And flexibility.
Right. You might have to get out and do a little pit stop, a little stretch or two in between.
Yeah, we typically do. Yeah, my kids start going stir crazy. It's funny. But it's good. I felt so bad for my daughter. Vegas was over. She's like, "Okay, what time's our plane flight tomorrow?" I'm like, "What do you mean plane flight? We're driving." She's like, "What? We're driving?" I'm like,
yeah. Like, oops. What is it now? 6? Is it 6 hours from Vegas? I don't even know. I haven't done that in so long.
Vegas is like four to 5.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then it's 16 to 18 up here. So
okay. All right.
We break it up over 2 days. It's not bad.
No.
It's not bad. So today we talked about sharing kind of 3 to 5 of the kind of profound lessons you and I have learned over the last 5 years in regards to health, fitness, longevity. Yep. I thought that'd be a fun topic. I agree. I know you and I have had very different experiences and different lessons learned, and so that'd be fun to share some of those. You want to start?
Yes, I'd love to, actually.
Okay.
I made notes today just so that I was kind of prepared. I'm going to say that my number one thing that I would share with people is learn to stack the deck in your favor. And what I mean by that is we have so much external stuff, crap, things, etc., that we cannot control, be it environmentally, the stress that we have talked about in so many different ways. Stack the deck in your favor for you to be successful in all areas. So, do as much as you can to avoid all of the things that are not so great for your body, is what I feel. Because ultimately, people talk about, but it's so expensive to eat healthy, or it's so expensive to always buy organic, or it's so expensive to do this, that, or the other thing. And my thought has always been, and I know a lot of people that agree with us, that you're either paying for it at this end or the back end when you're really sick. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you do anything to be able to, turn the clock back and have done things differently. So I think it's important to I'm a freak, and you can ask my husband. He gets very tired of me sometimes about how much that I try to control in my environment. Be it the sleeping, the way I'm eating, and I'm not talking about not having any fun. I'm just talking about, hey, I'm going to do grass-fed meat instead of the hormone-laden, Flintstone steak, kind of, And he thinks those are tiny and little and weenie, but I just things like that, and quality water that you're drinking, not tap water, and all the things. So again, just stacking the deck in your favor, controlling the things that you are able to control, because there's so much we can't.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So I don't know what you think about that.
I think it makes for a better life.
Yeah.
Better energy, better productivity, better mood, better emotions. It takes, there's a little bit of a transition when you start to stack the deck in the positive. Yep. But the benefits kick in within a week or two, and you can't argue how much better you feel, how much happy you are, how much more rested you are. I think, because I've really committed that over the last few years of really doing the same thing, like removing my things that I'm slaves to, my things that like beat me down, that hold me back, which I was really afraid to move. Like, how am I going to live life without some of these things? but the payoff has been dramatically better with the new life that has emerged, with the better energy, the better sleep, the more productivity, the handling stress better, all those things. So I think that's super valuable.
Yeah.
Super valuable.
So what's your number one?
Sweet. My number one, I've talked about it a few times, but I really want to reiterate it. I learned it a few years ago when I got to spend some time with the peeps at Kilo Strength Society. Stefan, he's kind of one of the masterminds over there, but Alex and Kelsey, the big messaging I got from them before they moved from Huntington Beach to Miami was, when it comes to exercise, to training, to a stimulus, their theory was apply just enough of a stressor to create change and get out. And then use progression over time as the thing that really creates massive change.
Yes.
And ever since I've implemented that with myself, my clients, my high-level athletes, it is shocking the people that will listen and will back off and buy into that strategy of apply just enough stressor and get out, and then come back the next week, apply just a little bit more, get out. And that's consistent, small overloads that you can recover well from, creates drastically better results than anything I've ever seen in my life. And I've done it all. I've done 2-day-a-week workouts, 6 days a week. I've trained 7 days a week.
Two-a-days.
You name
Two
it.
a days.
2-a-days. Yeah. I did that for almost 10 months, like 2 workouts a day, 5 or 6 days a week.
Right.
It is shocking to me how much better I look, feel, and perform at 48 than I did at 38. And that was like the big shift. It hasn't been 10 years, but just over the last 5 years, I remember I started over from ground zero when I first met him, because he had the mentality of, you're training for the rest of your life, not the next 90 days.
Amen.
So you want to apply the strategy of just enough stress to create some change, get out and go recover from it. Spend majority of your time recovering from the workouts versus more and more time layering workouts.
Right.
And I remember the day I walked in, I just, I'm just going to start over. And I just started over, like just bench pressing the bar, squatting the bar. I worked with really light weights, did the exact, followed the tempos really well. And just every time I came back in, I just added a little more, a few more reps. And it was in 18 months, the drastic shift and change that I had in my body, my strength, all these things was unreal to me. And I think my high-level athletes that really buy off on this, because you tell them, hey, I don't need you in the gym so much, they're like all over it. Like they're so tired of working out. And so they'll buy it.
Sure.
The older ones that have been doing it for a while, they're the ones that really buy in. Like for example, my professional golfer, when we first started, we were going 4 days a week. And then he turned 40. I'm like, dude, we got to ratchet it back. Like your recovery is not as good at this age. So you're now only allowed to train 3 days a week. And that was the best shift we made. It's because he needed more time to recover from the workouts.
Right.
And so now I think he's 41 or 42, and he's still like one of the farthest hitters on tour. Like all these things you're not supposed to be at 42, he is. And I know it's because we've methodically decreased his workouts as he's gotten older to allow that mentality around, apply just enough stress to create change and get out and go recover.
Yeah.
I am completely against this idea of you got to go grind and beat the hell out of yourself and outwork everyone. Got a little too excited there. Yeah.
We get it, Brad. We get it.
Yeah. It does not work as well. And then on top of that comes the fatigue, you're more emotional, you don't handle stress as well, you don't sleep, like all the things that come from overstressing, overtraining, those are not fun to deal with and don't make for a great life, in my opinion.
No.
So that was been one of the biggest game changers from an exercise standpoint for myself, my clientele, my experience. And
I still think that is such a tough one to grasp. We talked about it last week. Rest and recovery and how its importance. I had a lot of people reach out to me and say, gosh, I needed to hear that. Or gosh, I'm still, a work in progress in this as well. We all are. Because I think we all have this belief, okay, I get it. I get what he's saying. However, but if I do this a couple more times, it's okay. We all do that until it's not okay. And, this last week, I actually I scaled back my schedule a bit. Because most of the time, the only time I sub out is for my kids or illness. And I just thought, I need to scale this back for me just because I've been doing a lot. And am I doing a lot compared to a lot of other instructors? No, I'm not. But I'm doing a lot compared to a 60-year-old, which I'm also almost at, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to play with, and I get this weird feeling of, oh, but I'm letting people down. I was, I'm supposed to be there, but I want to practice what I preach. And I want to, show up in the way that because I can't stand that. I cannot stand people that are preaching one thing and doing another. That drives me absolutely bonkers. So I'm going to practice what I preach. And when I say, hey, you need to chill out, I want to walk that walk as well. And I've had a few people that have said to me, hey, my 2-a-days are over now. I listen to you guys. And I'm like, yes, the message is getting out. So that's very encouraging. Awesome. Very encouraging. Yeah.
And people who are doing that will see a benefit.
Yeah.
I've yet to see a client of mine who has come in beating the hell out of themselves, and I convince them to back off and be more strategic with things, not get great results.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is at the weight room we have these classes, and we're pitching train less, focus more on lifting weights, less hit training. That was a really hard sell a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
People are like, you're off your damn rocker. Like you're like, what's wrong with you? And the people that bought in a year ago, it's been really fun. We're starting to see pictures of them now.
Yeah.
And our head coach, Jared, is starting to see pictures of these people that came over with him a year ago. And it is absolutely phenomenal, the physical changes in these people.
Right.
Like, they look shockingly different.
Now, did they realize it, or did they have to see the picture to be reminded?
They had to see the picture to be reminded.
Yeah.
And that's why, I always try to tell people, you're going to start this new journey, take a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's not going to be this massive shift in the scale you think there's going to be.
Right.
It's a slow progression. It takes 6 months for really good change to happen. At a year mark, it's a lot of good change, but it's slowly but surely. And you're looking at yourself you're not going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they see these pictures, they're just like, holy shit, what happened to me?
Wow, there's an amazing proof right in front of me.
Yeah. And we're going to start sharing some of those on social media.
Oh, you should.
Just to show,
you should.
I'm so pumped for these people because they bought off on an idea that was completely contradictory to what they've been hearing their whole lives working out.
Sure.
And it is working and it is beautiful. And I'm so in love with that facet. To know okay, these people bought in, they took a risk and it's paying off. It's super cool.
Right.
So I always see it work with people that are overachievers. Always. Always. Yeah. You can't beat out fatigue. Joel Jameson, I was listening to a podcast by him. He's the guy that created the Morpheus app I was kind of talking about last time.
Right.
I kind of working into his conditioning stuff.
Yes.
He has millions of data points from all his tracking data. And actually what he found was really interesting on the two extremes of fitness, the really fit people and the really unfit people, was that high intensity training at too high of a volume of both of those realms created worse results than doing less and more the longer, slower stuff. So at the two extremes, it's a very big negative.
Yeah.
To do a lot of high intensity work. It's really interesting to see.
Yeah.
It slows progress or blunts progress pretty drastically in those people. So yeah. So
it's going to take. It's going to take a minute for people to kind of make that change, I think.
Yeah, it is. And what's going to make it really hard is a lot of these class-based gyms are picking up on the strength training thing, Nike Strength is opening. They're opening up a studio just for strength training.
Oh, interesting.
And now
he sighs heavily. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gosh, okay. But the methodology is going to be all the same. It's just with weights. It's not that we're using weights. It's how we're using weights.
Right.
We're not using it in a hit fashion. We're using if you watch our videos, it's kind of funny because everyone's moving super slow.
Yeah.
It's very controlled eccentric.
Yes.
There's a massive structure to it. So that'll be the next battle that we fight is, okay, great. You're lifting weights, but there's a big difference between lifting weights effectively and lifting weights just to lift weights to beat yourself up.
Right.
So it's always kind of a battle in this industry.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
All right. My number 2. Right. You ready for my number 2?
Ready.
This is something that I feel like I have had to work on, but kind of to steer clear of energy vampires.
Ooh, good one.
Because there are certain people that, and I feel like I'm very in tune to, and not to be all woo-woo, but to be woo-woo, in tune to people's energies and how people sort of present. And do they have a dark cloud over them when they are walking around? Are they miserable constantly? Is it a, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. And we're all allowed that because, life is not, crystals and rainbows and happiness and, unicorns all the time. So I get that we have bad days and, you're allowed. But when someone is constantly like that and they're kind of in your orbit, to me, I've learned as I've gotten older, especially, to kind of steer clear of that and to sort of self-protect my own energy. Because, what's that saying that you become the 5 people you hang out with the most?
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth to that. And I just feel like, the older I've gotten, and Quinn and I had this conversation, my daughter, who's only 19, and she was saying, I feel like I don't have as many, yes, she's got all her teammates at school, but as many close friends. And I said, welcome to the real world, right? You kind of go through life, you find out who's on your team and who's not. And less is more in this area for me too. You only have a few people, or at least I do, that are truly confidants and that I could lean on, because it's easy to be around people when things are going great and, they're there for you, but are they there for you when things aren't going great? But just, I think mostly I think this is kind of all encompassing, but there's been a few situations in my life where I've thought people were a certain way, and then turns out, oh, they're really not. Because when conflict came about, things changed dramatically. And if the person doesn't want to talk during a conflict or work on that, or they just ghost you, that's, to me, not someone that I want in my life. So the whole thing of when someone shows you who they truly are, believe them, is something that has been important for me. And I know it has been for you too.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Life's a lot more fun when those people aren't in your life.
Well,
it's a lot less chaotic.
Yeah. And I think that, we both have had people that we thought, oh, this is going to be great this way. And maybe it's not so great, and we try and make it great. And I don't know. It's just, all of the things in the realm of wellness, it's not just what you're eating, what you're consuming, eating wise, it's completely what you're consuming in the world, right?
Yeah.
As far as what I'm looking at, what I'm reading, who I'm spending my time with, who I'm allowing to have access to my innermost private things, I guess, is one way of putting it. And
that has a big dramatic effect on how we look.
Oh, does it really? Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's creating stress. It's
Oh, right.
I've had situations and like scenarios like that where I'll lose 30 pounds because of the stress and the chaos and all that crap. And sometimes if it's just this constant stressor never going away, you'll start becoming have an inability to handle carbohydrates. You're not insulin sensitive because the stress is constantly not going away. Your thyroid gets downregulated. It can have massive impacts on how we look.
Wow, that's very interesting. Now, some people might say, "Oh, wait, you lose 30 pounds? How do I sign up for that?" There's a but not in the way that you mean. Not in the way you mean.
No. Yeah, it's just high stressors from those scenarios.
That makes sense.
The body changes very drastically according to our emotional states and what we're dealing with emotionally, I believe, and I've seen it.
Right.
People all the time like, oh, I'm not losing weight. It's not going right. My weight's going up. I'm like, well, what's going on in your life? Oh, I'm just like crazy busy, like work's nuts, like this family issue's going on. There's usually like I was just talking to one individual, a new client I brought on, and he's like, psoriasis is breaking out, like all these autoimmune responses. And I'm like, man, well, what's happened over the last year? He's like, and he was like, it was an athlete. This is going on. I got to this new team. We trained a lot more. And then come to find out his mom had passed away. Like a year prior, and his arm was super close with her. It's like, there it is. Like the emotional destruction that comes with that and trying to deal with that is going to have a massive toll on the physical body.
Sure.
Yeah. So I really believe, and that's something that we don't associate is mental, emotional stressors in life and the effect it has on how we look.
Right. And I think I'm very sensitive to that stuff. I really am.
Yeah.
Because if I have some sort of conflict with someone, I can take that and run with it. And then, the committees are meeting all of the time in my head about, oh, what if this, what if that? And that's why I say that, just kind of clearing that out from our lives and being much more aware of who has access to us. And that sounds kind of elitist when those words were coming out of my mouth, but I don't mean it in that way at all. Because I think we find our people. Don't you agree, Brad?
Yeah.
The people that there are people that make us feel warm all the time. And those are the people I want to be around. And I'm not saying, once again, that they're not allowed to have a bad day or they're not allowed to not be that hype person for you all the time.
Yeah.
But there's a definite difference with energies, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love that. I think that's super valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's an old saying, right? The only person who's going to take care of you is you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I don't think it's an elitist comment. I think it's just a self-preservation comment.
Right. And like I said, getting older, I'm less about I want to have 50 friends. I want to be invited to every single party. And there's people talk about FOMO. Well, I talk about JOMO. It's the joy of missing out versus the fear of missing out, right? And it's true, especially for someone that's an introvert like me, even though I present as an extrovert, I truly am an introvert.
Yeah.
So
I was shocked when you told me that.
I know, but it makes so much sense. It really does, because my social battery drains extremely quickly.
Yeah.
And I have to recharge.
I have some of that in me too. I noticed when I was on tour speaking all the time, I would go give my presentation and I had to go lock myself away from the world and just collapse and sleep. And like, I wouldn't even leave my room after I had spoken at an event. I just couldn't deal with anything. Yeah. I was so tired and just depleted.
Right. It's fascinating when you think about that you're up there giving your all, you're speaking to all of these people, you're pumped up, you're doing your thing. And and when you told me that you used to, it kind of gave me permission. I thought, oh, okay, this is why this is happening. This is why I feel the way. Because I give a lot when I teach. I'm not typically one of those that comes in and just phones it in, as they say. I go extra mile with playlists and what kind of things that I want to do in the class and quotes and all the things. So that takes some effort, as I'm sure you're speaking in every single solitary state in our nation. That's amazing when I think about that. It's crazy. So how can it not take a toll on us? How can it not? Yeah.
So when you started talking about that, I'm like, I think I might have a little bit of that too, because I always thought I was an extrovert. Mm-hmm. But when I'm in front of a crowd on stage, in what would typically be an extrovert's dream, it would exhaust me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have to go just check out.
Yeah. And I mean, I love doing it when I'm in it, but then, but then don't ask me to go to dinner afterwards, kind of thing. You know what I mean? 100%. I need to go, lick my, I mean, I don't know, that sounds excessive, but just making sure that I recharge, which is why leaning into the rest and recovery component has been really helpful for me. Really helpful for me.
Love that.
Yeah. So what do you got for number 2?
Okay, my number two. Recognize you're a slave and figure out how to get rid of it. What I mean by that is all of us, when we really sit back and look at how we live life, are typically a slave to something. And I'll give you an example. I just had to cut ties with one of my slavery scenarios. It is energy drinks. Oh my God. What happens is I get super busy. I overcommit and I don't have enough time in the day and I'm just going. And I will start leaning on energy drinks. And then before you know it, I'm having a cup of coffee in the morning and 2 or 3 energy drinks throughout the day. And then all of a sudden it controls my life. Like I'm thinking about my next energy drink. Where's it going to be? I'm
like a bad girlfriend.
I'm wasting like, $10, $12 a day on energy drinks.
Right.
I mean, do the math on that. Add that up over a couple of months. Sure. It's like, it's just ridiculous, but it controls me and I can't imagine getting through a day without it.
Hmm.
And so I've done this a few different times. And Ryan Holiday wrote a book that I've read. I can't remember the name of the book now off the top of my head. Discipline is Destiny.
Oh, okay.
And he actually talks a lot about, this is what woke me up to this whole idea, was this reality that there are things we are slaves to that are controlling us, and they're taken away from our quality of life. And he's like, look, once you recognize it, you got to cut it. And so like on this, as soon as I was done working, before I headed out to Vegas to watch my daughter's volleyball, and then here, like, I just drew a line, like no more energy drinks. I haven't had an energy drink in a week and a half now.
You love to do the cold turkey thing, don't you?
I have to. I can't wean myself off of anything.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I know when I recognize that I am a slave to something, that I got to just cut it off at the knees and be done with it.
Okay.
And it's great. Like it's been a little bit of a rough, start, but like I don't crave it anymore. It's not running my life. I haven't even thought about one in the last probably 4 days
until now.
And even talking about, I can talk about it now.
Okay, good.
It's that it was having a massive negative impact on my ability to sleep well, my ability to eat. I wasn't hungry because I had like 800 grams of caffeine or milligrams of caffeine in my body a day, like way too much. My stomach was always upset. It was creating a lot of negative health side effects and quality of life issues. And that's all, like, it balanced itself out. A year ago I did that with alcohol, just straight cold turkey. Like I didn't like the effect it was having on my life. So and when I talk to people and I'm interviewing people about training and want to take better care of themselves, you can see it. Like there are things people are unwilling to give up.
Yes, 100%. You're right.
And that right there is something they are a slave to.
So you think
until you cut that cord, you're never going to reach the epitome of your ultimate, health and wellness.
Yeah. So do you think that can be anything? Do you think that can be anything?
It can be anything. Yeah,
really?
100%.
Okay.
But everyone is a slave to something different somehow, some way.
Right.
And it's a negative thing. But people know what that is. But a lot of times they don't want to talk about it. It's really simple. What's the thing? If I told you couldn't have that anymore, you would freak out and not be able to live your life. That's the thing. That's typically not everyone has it. Some people are in a really good state and they've cut the ties with all the things they're a slave to. And but for me, there's a very obvious cycle in my life. I get to this really good place right now. I'm going to come back to work. I'm in a really good place. My downfall is I'm very productive right now. I have a lot of good energy right now and a lot of drive right now.
Yes.
And when I come back to work, I have to be super careful because I will start saying yes to things because I feel so good. Oh, I can get that done. I get that done. I get that done. I get that. And I do pop. And before you know it, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm only sleeping 6 hours at night and I'm working all the other hours, getting to my kids' sports, coaching here, doing this, running here, running there. And then all of a sudden I start needing the caffeine to keep me pushing through those days. It's this cyclical cycle that I live in and I recognize it. I got to be super smart when I come back, not to fall back into this trap that I catch myself in. Because I like how I feel right now. I'm very excited. I'm very energetic. I'm getting a lot of things done.
Your skin looks good, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Getting a lot of good sunshine.
You have a glow, Brad.
I feel really good, but it's like I got to be really careful.
Yeah.
Because I cut the tie, but that desire can still be there as soon as I start. Because my brain knows, oh, you're tired, just go have that. And get through.
Yeah.
But then 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to 3, and then before you know it, I'm just a walking train wreck surviving on massive amounts of caffeine.
The fact that you're willing to state that out loud, I think, is huge. That most people, oh no, I that's fine. I think it's great that you're willing to look at that. Here's a question for you: what would your perfect schedule look like?
Oh, I would go to bed every night at 11, wake up at 7. When I sleep that style, I don't need an alarm clock. I wake up super refreshed.
Okay.
It's like clockwork. It's amazing. The only time I get to do that was when I'm on vacation. And the only reason I know that works is when I'm on vacation, I don't set an alarm.
Okay.
I go to bed when I'm tired. Yep. I always work on cutting out my caffeine or the things that I know that are causing me harm. And within a matter of days, that's my ideal sleep cycle is 11 to 7.
Okay.
I'll wake up sometime between 6:55 and 7:05 every morning without an alarm clock.
Okay.
it's super wild.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to have the first hour of the day once I wake up to like just for myself, like eat breakfast, meditate, read a little bit.
Yep.
I never get to do that. And then I'd probably at that point, so that would be like 8:00 in the morning. I'd kind of be ready to roll, like see clients from like 8:15 to probably 11.
Okay.
And then work out. That's one of my favorite times to work out is right around the 11 a.m. window.
Right.
Have lunch, and then work for a couple more hours, and then be done by 3 or 4, and off to doing all my sports stuff with my kids and that stuff. And then a new thing I'm going to implement also is once a month I'm going to take a 3-day weekend just to recharge.
Oh, very smart.
Yeah,
very smart.
Yeah. So that's something I'm a yes man. I like you. I don't I feel like I'm letting people down if I tell them I can't train them on certain days.
Right. Yeah.
So before you know it, I'm training 7 days. I'm in the gym every day of the week, training at least one person, which is silly. So I got to be a little more protective of my energy and my time. Yeah, I need better boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like these people are paying me. I need to, I need to get them the result they're looking for, and so I have to work on that to keep my risk of being a slave to so much caffeine coming back into play.
Sure. And I mean,
so you can't.
It definitely kind of snowballs, I'm sure, right? Other than your eating's not on point, and you're you're not. You said you're not sleeping the same way, and your workouts are kind of taking a back seat. All the things, right? It definitely snowballs.
Yeah, I'm fitting my workout in when I can. Yeah. My stomach's so upset from all the caffeine that I just don't eat all day.
Oh, and perfect. Then perfect.
This is just reality.
You're like a supermodel
without eating. Yeah, and then the problem is then I have a really big meal at night. And then as soon as within 30 minutes of eating, I'm just out. Right. I'm dysfunctional on the couch, and my kid's like, "Dad, let's go play ball." I'm like,
no,
I'm just resting my eyes. 2 hours later, I'm still there.
Now I heard a rumor, Little Bird gave you up, that you took a 4-hour nap the other day.
I did.
Little Bird told me that.
That was part of the impact of coming off the caffeine.
How about that?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I felt so bad. My little boy was like just chomping at the bit to get out and play, and I was like, I'm just gonna go rest my. My kids laugh like, rest your eyes, right? I'm just gonna go rest my eyes like 20 minutes. We'll go out, and 4 hours later, I wake up. I'm like, what the hell happened? And
did you sleep that night? Were you able to sleep?
Oh yeah, I slept just fine that night. That's how much fatigue I had generated of just pushing and working and going and that's part of the cutting that addiction to the caffeine.
But I'm
still having my 1 cup of coffee in the morning.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
This is not a flex, but I have never done caffeine drinks. I think I've had awesome. 1 Celsius ever. I just kind of didn't understand it because it's not really, I don't know. I felt like it was extra calories, and then it's like, oh, it's not caloric because it's got this, sucralose or whatever. I don't know. It just seemed like it was a fake thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't really love that. I mean, believe me, I've done plenty of other things that weren't great for me. I mean, I was on a kombucha kick for quite a long time. So much so that I ended up having to have 11 crowns done in my mouth because the acidity eats away at your tooth enamel. So
ouch.
Don't be doing kombucha every single day, kids. It's not good. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
Let me think about what my next one is here. I was thinking about don't believe everything that you see on the internet. We've kind of talked about that before with, here's this amazing, incredible person just that has the perfect physique, male or female. Look how incredible they look. And how much of that can be manipulated not only by angles or lighting or filters, all the things. And it makes it really hard to even consume any of that, I think, because we're trying to measure ourselves against this completely false image. You know? And I've said this before, but I don't like to filter my photos when I'm taking photos. And it's easy to you just want to swipe because that one just looks a little bit better. Your skin's smoothed out just a little bit. You don't see quite as many wrinkles. But I try and go against that because I would rather look better in person than have 100%. Someone go, whoa, who are you?
Yeah.
And we've all done that kind of thing, but I don't know. So I think that's such a massive lesson for, to not measure ourselves against that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a super funny story that happened this morning. So I go to the little local gym where my mom works out here, and working out this morning. And you see what I look like, and, and you've seen like the bodybuilders in the gym on all the drugs and everything like that. This really old man comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, sorry, I don't mean to bother you." He goes, "But I'm just wondering, are you a bodybuilder?" And I just laugh. I'm like, "No."
That's
He's
cute,
like, "Oh,
though.
I'm sorry. You look like one to me." And I'm like thinking to myself, "Have you not been on social media?" I'm like, "You probably haven't at your age."
Yeah.
He was a strength coach, athletic trainer at a college for like 25 years.
Okay.
And so he knew like Bill Pearl and like all these guys back in the bodybuilding ages before all the drugs showed up. So I'm thinking, you know what? Like I probably looked like a low level of those guys back then.
Yeah.
And so it was so funny as like this man's perception on what a bodybuilder looks like versus like what our perception is.
Yeah.
He's not seeing all the roided out young guys, posting all over Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, so I was it was the funniest thing to me when he did that. Cause I was like, like 180 pounds. Like, no.
Lightweight. You're in the lightweight category.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And I remember another buddy of mine who does like bodybuilding competitions. He was showing me his most recent show, and there was this guy on stage that looked horrible. I'm like, Jesus, that guy looks horrible compared to the rest of you guys. He's like, oh yeah, he's the guy that's clean. He doesn't do any drugs. He just likes to see what he can do with his body naturally. I'm like, so wait a minute, that's what natural looks like, and that's what the rest of you look like. I'm like, how many freaking compounds are you on? He's like, oh, I was on 9 for this show. I'm like, Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's wild.
I know this is kind of veering off from what we're talking about, but what does that do to the body long term?
I have no idea. I don't ever want to know.
No, but I mean, that's got to shave years off your life.
It's got it. Yeah, it can't be good for you.
No. I mean,
but we're getting this, like from the men's side of things, we're getting this perspective of, especially young boys think like, oh, this is possible if I just lift weights really hard and eat right. It's like, no, it is absolutely not.
No.
Like there's a large amount of drugs at play. And I couldn't believe when I saw the picture of the all natural guy and the rest of them.
Yeah.
And they make fun of this poor guy because he won't do any drugs. He just wants to see what he can do naturally.
I think that's admirable.
That dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he looked horrible compared to the rest of these guys.
Well, you just size or in leanness or
size, leanness, definitions, styrations, all those things,
all the things
that like make a man looks like unhuman.
Yeah.
He didn't have any of those.
Yeah.
It was so wild. Crazy. But it plays into this whole idea, like you got to be careful what you're looking at and what you think is reality and possible and what's really not.
But things have also changed so much in what we, when I first started getting into working out and that whole realm, it was Rachel McLeish, Corey Everson. Those were the girls that looked amazing. Corey Everson couldn't even win a bikini contest now.
No, they would look horrible on stage now.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's funny how, and just things, I did one fitness competition when I was 25 and I didn't know what I was doing at all, but you had to speak, you had to do a little routine, you had to go out, in the little gown and the bikini and with the heel. It's so stupid. But it was kind of one of those bucket list things. And if I look back on those pictures, it's hysterical. First of all, imagine me with hair extensions. That is not the look. But just it's how that's changed that it isn't even, the bikini girls aren't even, I mean, it's wild what you can't even, a fitness competitor is on drugs now.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Do you know who Mia Finnegan is? Does that name ring a bell? She actually was in the contest that I did, and she's gone on to she still looks amazing, and she's gone on to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, that whole world of trying to drastically modify how we look just for a particular day is, I mean, I guess we do it for weddings and stuff like that too. I don't know. Yeah.
And the sad reality of my experience in that realm of pursuing that physique, because I think everyone goes through it. Right?
Sure. Yes. We've all wanted to be there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember going through that. It's like, no matter how good you look, you're never happy with it.
No, it's so true. It is so true.
It's the gnarliest realm to live in.
Yeah.
And then what happens is 20 years later, they're back like, oh, you said this, I think, the podcast too.
Yes, I looked good.
I looked so good back then, but back then I thought I looked horrible.
I know. It's so sad.
I always try to sway people away from like, okay, let's just not focus on how you look. Like, what other tangible things can you have from taking better care of your body versus, because you'll never be happy. Like, you'll never reach that magical body fat percentage, that magical weight. Like, I've made it. You'll always find something you don't like. What I started to find is a lot of people, like, the better they look, the more nitpicky they get.
Oh, yes. 100. Yes. 100%.
It's hard. It's hard to watch people beat themselves up over that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's the whole realm of focus on how you look is very destructive.
Yeah.
And it leads to some really bad choices trying to get to that next
and
level.
And to stay there, which you can't stay there for 365 days. You just can't.
No.
And those that do, the freaks of nature, there's something else up, right? Probably.
A lot of, I mean, there are some, I've seen some genetic freaks. Like, that's the other thing that people don't talk about in the world, like physique and like athleticism. Is genetics play a massive role in this.
Yeah.
Like, there are some people that are just genetic freaks with how they look. And no matter what they do, they look incredible.
Right.
There are some athletes that are just such genetic freaks that there's you can't train to be like. Have you seen that new Netflix show called Sprinter? Oh my Lord! It's looking at the top men and women in 100-meter sprinters, like working their way towards the trials and the games. You want to talk about the upper echelon of super freak genetics. Yeah. These men and women are like something else. Like, we can't train to get anywhere near them. Like, they are just genetic freaks. And there are some men and women that just genetically have these physiques that are incredible. Like, incredible. That's just how they're naturally built.
Yeah.
So that's the other factor that gets played in is our genetics come in and play big time in these realms.
I think we've been told, though, oh, genetics is just a small percentage of it, and the rest is hard work.
It's a huge percentage of it.
Yeah.
I've been lucky to see like the level of elite level athletes, like the best of the best. They are super freaks. Like, just super freaks.
Yeah.
Like, the other day at the weight room, we had a guy come in. He and his wife were in town. They just came in and did a week at the gym, and I started texting my buddy. He played in the NFL for 10 years, All-American at USC.
Okay.
The guy at like over 300 pounds had a 42-inch vertical jump.
What?
He was the right tackle. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a 42-inch vertical jump at over 300 pounds. That is freaky.
How tall?
He's probably 6'5". I mean, he played offensive line. He was unreal.
You don't know that song.
I don't. Sorry.
Okay. I got to send it to you.
But like, people have to understand, like, genetics come into play in this realm. Like, it becomes like, what's the best version of myself that I can make myself? And my genetics.
Yes. And that's the thing that I think we don't, because I've heard it over and over. It's like people that have curly hair want straight hair, or people that have straight hair want curly hair. So people will say, I want to look like that. Your body would never look like that, no matter what. That's what's so wild. And that tends to be the thing, is that we kind of swing that pendulum so far away from what we truly are, instead of saying, okay, I want to be a better version of me. But again, that comes back to these images that we see, we're inundated by daily on the internet and so forth, that, oh, but this is what I'm supposed to look like. And every single influencer, has got that, 18-inch waist, but they have a badonkadonk and, all the things. Truly, it's really, really wild to and another thing that you've talked about that I think is such a valid point. You can line up 10 athletes that does the exact same thing. They're all going to look elite athletes.
Yes.
All 10 of them, their bodies are going to look different, right?
Yeah.
And they're still all good at what they do.
Yeah. What's funny with that, there's a book called Sports Gene. Within every sport, within every position, there's some commonalities.
Right.
Like, but within those commonalities, they're going to look very different. Like, most NBA basketball players are 6'5" or taller. It's very rare you see one under.
No Spuds McKenzie or whatever.
Yeah.
No. What was that guy's name? That was the dog. Wait, who was?
Oh, Spud Webb.
Spud Webb. I said Mackenzie. It's a dog.
Like a Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah.
So there are they call it Sports. It's a great book that there are genetic potential, the genetic realms of commonality and at the highest level of every sport.
Sure.
But within those realms, there's vast differences in how those people look.
Yeah.
They're all typically about the same height, like most NFL linemen are going to be around 6'5" and around 300 pounds.
Yeah. Because they need to be.
That 300 pounds is going to look very different.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how hard I work out, how much I eat, I'll never be 6'5", 300 pounds. I wasn't genetically built to be an NFL lineman. Sure. Quarterbacks are typically 6'3" to 6'6". They're not 5'9". Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, there'll be an anomaly that comes out that goes against the typical grain.
Right.
But, same thing like beach volleyball. Yeah. There's going to be some genetic at the highest level. They're all going to have some genetic similarities. Sure. And then within those, there'll be vast differences within those. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all not going to be not every athlete is ripped.
Right. And I'm going to venture to say that of those, the linemen that you're talking about, the NFL linemen, they're not sitting there going, oh, but I don't have a six-pack today. They could not give a rip.
They love to show off their Buddha belly. They always want to show it off. And Garrett always wants to take his shirt off.
Isn't that funny?
It's hilarious. They always want to show the belly off.
Yeah.
It's a badge of honor to those guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's have a little bit of that, right? That accepting where we are and our bodies are doing amazing things for us. And because that's what I'm constantly, the older I get, the more fascinated I get with and by what our bodies are able to do and how it is constantly seeking, our bodies are constantly seeking that homeostasis. It wants to have you well. It wants you to be in a good state. It doesn't want you to be, as you've said in your book, running from the lion all the time. Right? Yeah.
100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. My last thing, and then we'll wrap this up.
Okay.
And this actually isn't, yes, it's for me, but it's more for the women that I work with and the women that listen to us.
Okay.
Is the profound effectiveness of eating enough protein.
Ah, yes.
I keep seeing this completely alter in the positive women's bodies and their health and their energy. Mm-hmm. I see most women, honestly, most people in general aren't eating enough protein, but women typically tend to fall deeper into that scale of just not eating enough protein.
Sure.
As soon as a woman starts to eat enough protein, it is amazing how excess body fat falls off their body, how their energy production goes up, how their mood enhances, and how their sleep dramatically improves. Yeah. And the immune system gets stronger. So I'm really trying to hit home on this with the people we work with is go for 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight.
Yeah.
So if you're 150, if you're 150 pounds, your ideal body weight's 140, you would want to try to eat 140 grams of protein a day. Yeah. Yes, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But what I tell the women I work with is eat the protein first. Yeah. And then have everything else.
Yeah.
So, for example, 140 grams. If you took the palm of your hand and you looked at the amount of protein on your plate, every palm size of protein on your plate is about 25 grams of protein. Mm-hmm. So, at 140 pounds, we need, how many palms is that? About 5.5 palms of protein. That's a lot. Now, you can have 1 protein shake a day, which could be about 25 grams. So now we're down to 4.5 palms. Mm-hmm. So you just would need to break that up over the day and try to get your 4 palms or 4.5 palms of protein on your plate in that 1 protein shake in a day, and you will hit that target. And I promise you commit to that and you go after and you eat the protein first, and then whatever else you want. A couple things happen. 1, your cravings drastically drop.
Right.
All those weird cravings we struggle with tend to go away. You're not as hungry all the time. It's harder to eat more food. It's harder to eat too much.
Yep.
So I'm really going to start pushing this in the weight room is 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight every day.
Yeah.
And 1 palm size of protein on your plate is about 25 grams. So just take if it's 100 grams, you got to have 4 palm sizes of protein throughout the day. Eat the protein first, then everything else.
One thing that Shelby, that Teresi that we had on talked about with me that made so much sense is the order that you're eating things too. Yeah. So if you're, she talked about having a bitter green before any of this stuff, especially if you're going to go have a heavily carb-laden meal, you're going out to dinner or something. But I'm noticing that when I have my greens and when I have the protein, a good amount of protein, like what you're talking about, then all of a sudden, I wanted that, I wanted my dark chocolate, or I wanted my, my boba drink or whatever it is. All of a sudden, that's not as enticing. If you fuel, if exactly what you said, you have your protein first, it's amazing how that changes.
Yeah, and don't be afraid of red. Don't be afraid of red meat. Like that is the most nutrient dense protein we have. Is animal protein.
Yeah,
I'm not talking poultry. I'm talking, beef, bison, buffalo, venison, elk, like wild game meat. I know that sounds gross to a lot of women, but eggs are really powerful. They're very nutrient dense. So often those cravings, the hunger is our body's looking for nutrients.
Yeah, right.
And if you go eat a bunch of food that doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it, you're still going to be scouring for nutrients.
Sure. Been there.
If you eat, like you talked about, like I push protein first, but Shelby's pushing the greens first and then the protein. That's great. Yeah. You're still getting high nutrient foods coming in. She's getting a little bit more of that fiber coming in right away.
Right.
If you tell me to do that, I'm going to venture away from it. I don't like vegetables.
Do you not eat any?
If you tell me, I eat some, but not a lot.
Wow.
So if you tell me to go eat vegetables, I'm just going to give up on everything. If I got to eat vegetables first before I can have everything else, I'm just going to give up.
Energy drinks.
I'm just being real. Like they always bloat me. They make me gassy.
Really?
I don't enjoy them. They don't taste good to me.
Okay.
So I go to the protein first and then I throw my vegetables.
Okay.
That's why I choose to do it that way. I'm not saying one way's right, one way's wrong.
No.
If you layer me up with vegetables, you don't want to be around me. Just trust me. I cannot handle all that fiber well. It's never been good on my system. But I promise people, if they just focus on their protein first, it helps drive the metabolism to such a better level. Your cravings are that's another thing I've been really focused on is every morning I wake up and I have a high protein breakfast. That's helping me drastically.
Good.
Yeah. So
love it.
Sweet. That's like 6 good takeaways. I like it.
I know.
I'm glad we chose to talk about this topic.
Yeah.
I was like, let's talk about something interesting that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I think we're always learning new things, so it's fun to share those things.
Definitely.
If you're invested in growth, you're always learning new things or better ways to go about things.
Definitely. And you're back in the studio live in this big boy chair next week, right?
Next week.
Okay.
I get the chair back.
Okay. I love it. I will gladly give it back to you.
Yeah. We head out tomorrow. We'll be back home in Orange County on Sunday and back to the grind on Monday.
Love it. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brad. Great seeing you.
Yeah. Good chatting with you.
All right.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Thank you.